Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
And good morning to one and all. The sun is shining. Thank God. The sky is blue, the temperature's too. But that's better than it was. So, it is a bit nippy out there, isn't it? I just want to say before, we cannot begin this show with me at the helm without, of course, something technical to be acknowledged. And I just want to say, I think my mic is on. I think we're on. All of that, but I am getting this always discouraging highlighted error thing on my screen, which says that YouTube is not thrilled with the amount of video they're receiving in order to maintain a smooth stream. Now, since we're not doing video, I've never understood that, but I suspect it means whatever. I don't know. So, guys, it's going to be tough, isn't it? We're one day in. This is day two. It is going to be tough. 2.5. Who's counting? It's going to be tough. For me, it's going to be tough to, again, I think I repeat myself, but to maintain my sense of good citizenship, which it means that I pay attention, but also that I guard my mental health. And those two seem to be in conflict at the moment. But maybe, it's a new skill we got to learn, and I intend to work at it. That's the best I can do. I really am determined not to let him get to me. I mean, I know him now, right? We all know him. Nothing should be surprising. We do have the power to choose to respond as we want to him. And that does require some work on our part, because the emotional reaction to him is always, to just go berserk. But as I said, since we know him, that's unnecessary now, going berserk. And as I say these things, I assure you, I'm desperately trying to take them in and make them real, because this is hard. Anyway, I have to, by virtue of my sense of responsibility, pay some attention, as I said. I was looking today at a compilation of some of his executive orders, and that for a guy who wants to be king, this whole thing of executive orders, which used to be a very sparing, tool that a president used on occasion. And in fact, I really have no memory of presidents doing executive orders until, relatively recent presidential history. But I have no idea. Obviously, they have the power. But that power is limited. And a lot of what Trump's doing it's not constitutional. He does not have the power. And the problem is that it is the Supreme Court that would eventually determine that. And, well, we've been here before. We know that he has an acquiescent court. And before his 4 years are done, he could well have a much more acquiescent court. So none of that's good. But I'm looking at these things, and some really they leap out. I'm not going to get into the ones that we already know about, the ones that are getting the most attention. Um, but here's one. It just shows the ugliness, the cruelty of this crowd. One of his executive orders was to ensure that the states have a sufficient supply of lethal injection drugs. Can you imagine having that be like part of the things that you think need to be done immediately on day one? Now, obviously, most states do not, I believe, have the death penalty anymore. So he's just talking about the Republican states that just love killing people. Anyway, that one leapt out at me, and then all of, and then, well, and the move to end birthright citizenship, by the way, that is just clearly unconstitutional, because the Constitution very clearly says that anyone born in the United States is an American. And I don't even know how the acquiescent Supreme Court could suggest otherwise. So I'm not worrying much about that one. But when you look at the environmental stuff, oh my God. And this is one of the things that I don't think many people have at the top of their concerns. And boy, this is the kind of stuff that will have immediate impact on people's lives, literally, on how long their lives may be, on their health, on their children's health and development. So look at some of these, the executive orders he's already put into play. He's repealing the regulations on tailpipe pollution from cars and trucks. And that is because well, it doesn't matter. He is, you know how he sometimes used to go off on shower heads and toilet flushing? These are all a result of, efforts to limit water usage. And so one of his orders is rolling back all of those regulations that required energy efficiency to be built into water using gizmos, shower heads, dishwashers, toilets, etc. So those will be gone. Now, you realize the impact on manufacturers. I mean, a manufacturer, they're now used to doing, they're set up to do the energy efficient. I don't know. Of course, open, wide, drilling for oil and gas in the pristine glory of Alaskan wilderness. And here's one that really boils my blood. You know how a lot of pollution and polluting industries are located. Well, they ain't located in Sewickley. They ain't located in Mount Lebanon, Fox Chapel. No, they are located in poor neighborhoods because, fuck poor people, which is sort of the way this oligarch class, rides. So they have actually, one of his things, eliminated programs that the federal government had imposed, which were an attempt, and I would argue a relatively feeble attempt, to protect the poorer communities in this country from excess pollution. They are already on the receiving end of excess pollution, and I'm not exactly sure what specific regulations and programs had been put in place to attempt to maybe, ease up on dumping all the crap on people who are already trying to function under a lot of crap by virtue of their poverty and lack of power. And to think that you would go out of your way to put out an executive order, one that he signed with a flourish, to eliminate what are called environmental justice programs aimed at protecting poorer communities. Cruel, ugly. And then, because these are crooks, this is a cabal of crooks. One of his orders said, we don't need no stinking vetting kind of procedures to determine who gets to get in here to the White House to work with me and will be granted top secret security clearances. We don't need no stinking stuff like that. So he's done away with it. He's just saying anyone I want in here, no matter how much of a crook they are, he's a felon, and he's got others, felons, working for him, and other jailbirds, and would be, could be, should be jailbirds. And so one of his executive orders granted top secret security clearance to any White House staffer without any of the traditional vetting procedures, like an FBI background check kind of thing. So, okay, there's that. But the one that tickled me, well, was he has, through executive order, declared a national energy emergency. Did you know that? No, he did. He declared a national energy emergency. That has never happened in this country. It is the first time any president has done such a thing. And he did it because if you declare a national energy emergency, it gives the president new powers. I'm sure he thinks unlimited powers, which will then be tested in lots of lawsuits, to suspend any environmental rules that he wants to, so that they can drill more places, they can stop environmental protection impediments, because he says we are in a national energy crisis. And what struck me as funny about that is the front page story in the New York Times today is, I'll read you the headline: President acts to block wind farms on U.S. and private property. So, explain me this. He declares a national energy emergency. And then he declares that no one should be able to build a windmill, essentially, which of course is a way of what? Creating energy. Now, like shower heads and flushing toilets, if you've followed this idiot, you know that another thing that pisses him off is a windmill. Now, if you don't understand why he gets so upset about windmills, as with many things, it's personal. That's right. Because I can't remember when, but a long time ago, off the coast of Scotland, there was an offshore wind farm being constructed. And Trump went ballistic because you could see it from one of his golf courses. And he fought that thing, and I believe lost. But he has, he's a vengeful person. We know this. He has not forgotten those Scottish windmills, which ruined his view from the fourth tee or something. And God knows he said to himself, I'm going to get those effing windmills. And so he has. And he literally signed an order that halts the leasing of any bit of federal land or water to put a windmill on. And he goes farther to keep them off of private land so that, let's say, a farmer who wants to put up a windmill is now going to have a lot of trouble getting a permit because Trump hates those damn windmills which ruined the view from his golf course. I think it was, what was it, just earlier this week? It was before he was sworn in. He went on some crazed rant about windmills again. We're not going to do that windmill thing. Those big, ugly windmills. They ruin your neighborhood. Yeah. It's all personal. It's all personal. But I mean, what's funny is the declaration of a national. All of this is just it's so much hooey. Here's the other thing that's astonishing about his going after windmills. Guess who's going? I mean, obviously this will hurt an entire industry, and also it turns out that the states in this country that rely the most on wind energy are Republican led. Yeah, Texas, Oklahoma, Iowa. This ain't going to go down well there. But, he's got these personal peeves. Also under development in Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota. These are all Trump states. 10% of the energy of electricity in this country comes from wind energy. Unbelievable. That damn windmill. He's walking the course at his Scottish golf course, and damn that windmill! It ruins the neighborhood. Okay. I saw a good quote. I think this was, I'm forgetting his name. It was the guy who was the ethics. Excuse me. That's a word that makes me laugh now. Like there was an office of ethics, was there? Yeah. There was somebody who determined whether government was doing ethical stuff. What am I thinking of? What's the exact? What was his name? Damn it. Anyway, what I have a quote from him, but I don't have his name on the quote. But I read it to you because it is absolutely right on the money. He said, America voted for corruption, and that's what Trump is delivering. Trump's corruption and naked profiteering is so open, so extreme, so pervasive this time around, that to comment on any one aspect of it would be to lose the forest for the trees. The very idea of government ethics is now a smoldering crater. Yep, the very idea. It's absurd. And yes, America voted for this because they knew him to be a crook, a liar. They knew it, and they chose him. Extraordinary. All right, all right. What else I got here for you? Well, damn it, go away. I don't want to see you anymore. Thank you. Um, oh, this is good. He cares about ratings. Uh, they weren't great for his inauguration. They were not great. Uh-uh. Now, I saw numbers that said that they were actually lower than Biden's in 2021. But it seemed as if what they were counting were broadcast networks and not the cables, which doesn't make any sense. So I'm not sure, and I haven't seen if anybody has seen the ratings in terms and comparing them to other inaugurals. Just didn't do it. Did not do it. Oh, and in case you missed it, he did fire the only woman, and in fact the first woman, to command a branch of the U.S. military. Yep, she gone. Uh, Admiral Linda Fagan. Within 24 hours of his inauguration, she was told, "You're out." She headed the Coast Guard. First female officer to lead a branch of the American Armed Forces. They thanked her for her illustrious career and said, "Get lost." Apparently, she was fired because she, I think, was a woman, frankly, and she had made a comment or two about diversity. being the first woman to whatever, you're out. And speaking of diversity, as we know, all DEI programs are gone. Any federal DEI program is gone, and God help you if you work in one of them, you're gone too. Well, you're on leave. Well, you're told that when you clock out today, don't bother coming back tomorrow. Yeah. And I remember reading something like a few weeks ago that there were federal workers, these poor souls, federal workers that were scrambling to take any mention of diversity, equity, inclusion out of their job, title and or description and or I ain't doing any of that shit. They're really, really trying. And I guess I don't think that was going to, I seemed like a desperate effort. And I suspect it was. Oh, well, Murdoch is another bit of good news, although it's keeping riches with the rich. But Murdoch is shelling out an untold sum, but known to be eight figures, so it's millions, to Prince Harry for breaking God knows how many laws in defaming him, um, in trying to sell his friggin' newspaper in the UK. So Murdoch does what Murdoch does. He makes a lot of money off of peddling lies. And then when sued, he goes to the mat until the very moment the judge gavels things into order, and then he settles. And that's what he did with the Dominion lawsuit here. And that's what he did with Prince Harry. But I mean, good for Harry for going after him. I think Hugh Grant, the actor Hugh Grant, had initially joined with Harry in this particular suit because he was on the receiving end of the same kind of brilliant journalistic reportage, and he ended up also getting paid off earlier, and he had said, "Well, that's what innocent people do. They give you tons of money." I remember he said something like that. Well, yeah, sure. That's what innocent people do. They give you lots of money, and it comes with a thing that you shut up about it. But sure, come on, let's get real. Uh, Kurt writes, hang on here. Um, the largest source of energy in the UK is, wow, is wind. Well, I guess, yeah, they're harnessing all that wind blowing off the Atlantic, right? Wind power has surpassed gas as the UK's largest source of electric power. Well, that's fantastic and good for them. It accounts for 29% of all electric power in the UK and continues to grow. Well, good. But it pissed off Trump. And now you can't build a windmill. I wonder if all the miniature golfing establishments are going to have to get rid of the little windmill feature they have. Don't they always have a little windmill? Seems to me. And the blades going around, and the trick is getting your ball right through it at the right time so that it doesn't. Yeah, right. So I don't know if I were managing a troop of reporters, I would suggest, hey, a good sidebar story for the windmill is check out the miniature golf courses. And then you can tie it to the golf course in Scotland that precipitated this whole fiasco. Be a good little story. I'm going to get to that amazing bishop, not to worry. That amazing woman. But just a few other things I want to get through here. It's hard to be one of Trump's bought and paid for folks because you're constantly being put in the position of having to choke on your own words. And even if you ain't a good dancer, you end up having to learn how to shuffle a lot, and you have to know how to tap dance because you end up having to do some quick footwork, backpedaling, all that kind of stuff. It is not easy. So I was looking at quotes from his vice president, that would be one J.D. Vance, and also his, I'm sure, soon to be Attorney General, Pam Bondi, in regard to any effort to pardon January 6th insurrectionists who assaulted police officers. And Vice President Vance had said, if you committed violence on that day, obviously, you should not be pardoned. Obviously. I wonder what JD's saying now. Also, Pam Bondi said at her confirmation hearing, I'm not going to speak for the president, but the president does not like people who abuse police officers. Yeah, except when they do, in service to him. What we got here? I got a caller. Let me come at you. Hang on here. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
When you're talking about the wind, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
When you're talking about the windmills, hi, I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Don Quixote. Has anybody referred to him as Don Quixote?
No. I mean, I don't know. But
Hey, fighting windmills, I thought it would be pretty obvious.
yes,
Don
it
Quixote.
is pretty obvious. I'm sure certainly some cartoonist must have or would have, but who knows?
Hey, as far as his ratings are concerned, I've been working from home this week, and I went downstairs for lunch, and my wife had his inaugural dress on, and I just made my lunch and ran upstairs real quick and ate at my desk. I said, how do you listen to that shit?
Yeah.
I can't stand his. I'll read about it, but I'm not going to listen to him.
No.
And then I had to come back downstairs about 10 minutes later, or 5 minutes later, and she had it off because I said, I'm coming down, mute it. And she said she had to turn it off. It got so crazy.
Yeah.
She says, I mean, and I said, you're contributing to his ratings, which he loves. You don't give him anything.
Right.
He's gotten enough. But I wanted to ask, how is he going to leave? He's never going to leave until he dies, is he?
No, he's going to leave.
Do you think our democratic process is going to protect us this time around?
Look, I can't pretend to know what's going to happen in the next 4 years, but I think he's going to have to leave. Yeah, I do. And if the American people do not rise up, if there were to be an effort for him to not leave, then we don't deserve this country. So whatever. If we're not willing to fight for it, he is, as a second-term president, going to be viewed as a lame duck in just 2 years. And if the Democrats get their crap together and take back the House in 2 years, he's already beginning to have less power. It's why there's this, this crazed effort to do so much right now, because he'll never be more powerful than he is right now. It's sort of like when you buy a new car, the minute you drive, it's depreciating as you drive it home. Well, his power's depreciating every day.
I hope you're right, but for some reason, I don't think the same rules apply to him. And I'll tell you why. If a congressperson is doing something or saying something he doesn't like, he'll get primaried. Even though he's a lame duck, he's still got the constituents out there doing his bidding for him.
Right.
And so I don't think that applies. And there was something else I wanted, but I just think, I don't know if the process works with this guy. If the Democrats can't beat him out of everybody else, they can't win it all. I understand that, losing to Bush. I understand losing to Reagan. I even understand losing to Nixon. But you lost to this guy. You guys are pretty sad. And I don't know how you fix that unless your answer is, we'll just put another boring white guy up next time, which is probably what they're going to do to try to win back.
Well, if they're crazy, that's what they'll do. We got to come to terms with the era we're living in. And as I said, it's not about reality. Trump was ahead of this. It's not about reality. It's about perception. He even understood that running on something, on ugly stuff, on hating people, on demonizing people, was a way to get elected. He understood people were angry and feeling overlooked. And also he had this, totally bullshit, but totally huge, it's called in the business Q rating. In other words, everybody knew who he was, and everybody thought of him as a successful, powerful businessman. It doesn't matter that was something he was playing on television, because people, and he knew this too, don't have the capacity, most of them, to really bother differentiating much from what's on their TV to what's real. So he knew the lines between the blurring of reality and perception and politics and marketing. All of that he understood. And the Democrats better friggin' start understanding it and get off our high horse with our facts and figures and warmth to our fellow man, and figure out how you win in this mucked up world now.
But then so basically what I'm hearing is the Democrats need to get on his level.
No,
what you just said.
No, not completely. No, but we need to understand how people get their information and how to push buttons. We need to be more Madison Avenue. We don't sell well. We don't sell our shit well. We do more for people than he ever did. Well, why the hell don't people know it? So we better figure out how to sell. We need to, get every marketing genius on board and figure it out. And then we've got to learn to stop the, I don't know, the down our nose hectoring of people too. It's been pissing me off for ages. Myself.
I hear what you're saying, because I've been guilty of that too in the past, and that's very dismissive. It's disrespectful. All the jokes about the country bumpkins and rural people and voting against their own interests does not work. But when you say about marketing, how do you market, in a society the way social media is now being taken over, just like radio and television?
That's right.
They are gaining control everywhere.
Well, why are we so okay? But I don't know. Why are we so? We don't have billionaires, millionaires. We don't have the capacity to do the same. They have. Their side's got a lot more fire in the belly. Let's just put it that way. They want power.
So where are our bills?
We want to do good things for people, but until we see that we're not going to get there until we get power. And we're not going to win bringing knives to a gunfight.
It just seems like we're going to get down in the gutter.
Well, fine. We got to win.
Listen. Win. And
it's not like we're some, believe me, politics is an ugly, dirty game. Always has been. Always has been. And government is too. It's why they say it's like making sausage. You don't want to see it. You don't want to look at it being done. It's ugly. It's trade-offs. It's somebody selling something to you for this, for that. It's not high, whatever. But there are degrees of corruption. And this crowd that's currently got the power is just so extraordinarily corrupt. And I think in some ways that adds to their allure to a lot of Americans, because a lot of Americans think it's all corrupt anyway. And here are guys who are just being authentic. I'm just saying.
Here's the problem the Democrats have always had, and it's just the nature of our party, is we are a party of many people, and I'm going to use a bad word here. We are a very diverse group, but we're also got a lot of spoiled brats in our group. And it's like, well, I'm not voting for Hillary. I'm going to vote for Bernie. I'm going to write in Bernie. I'm Bernie. I don't like the way so-and-so, what they said about Israel. I don't like the way they talked about the Gaza Strip. So we're so splintered that, like, if the goddamn, and I mean goddamn, fundamentalist Christians who are often on their high moral horses can vote for this jackass, Democrats can never make that compromise. We will never make that compromise. Right or wrong? Well, it's wrong. Sometimes it's just we're spoiled brats and we want what we want, or I'm going to take my toys and go home. And that's what happened in 2016. And I think it sort of happened in 2024. And we just got to just grin and bear it and know who the enemy is. But we don't do that. We just sit there and get our nose pushed out of joint and all oversensitive. And so I'm just going to just not participate, or I'm going to do a protest vote, and the jackasses keep winning. And if there's any crazy ass liberals who take issue with that statement, speak up and defend yourselves, because you're going to kill this country. You're assisting the crazy conservatives in killing this country, and you're just as much of a problem as the crazy right wing.
All right, you.
And
enough. I mean, I'm saying enough because I'm looking at how long you've been on.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm just saying. We gotta move on. Good rant.
I know. Yeah. All right. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. I just want to make sure to get in this astonishing bishop. Speaking of someone on our side who's got unbelievable courage, truly. And that is the Episcopalian bishop who, was it yesterday? Spoke truth to power it isn't many people who, in a public setting, looking directly at Donald Trump, will speak truth to him and make him squirm, make him uncomfortable. It isn't something very few people are willing to do. And in what is becoming a little bit of a pattern, it was a woman. It was a woman who had the strength. And I'm talking, obviously, about Bishop Marian Edgar Budde. Is that how it's pronounced? Budde. And at this church thing that all presidents have done recently, I don't know how long that process goes back, that they go to the, National Cathedral or whatever that thing is, and where, they were all just there for Jimmy Carter's funeral. And there Trump is, and man, she looked directly at him. And she didn't, she did what a great pastor does. She said, in the name of God, she said, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. Simply put, not a big word there. Have mercy on the people who are scared now. And that, of course, took in, and then she got a little more specific. On children. Have mercy on children who fear that their parents are going to be taken from them. The fear of parents of gay and transgendered children who are also fearful. The fear of people that are desperate to stay, she just did it. I said earlier, he understood that a winning formula was to create hate and fear. That's the source of his power. and for her to call it out as the ungodly thing it is, publicly, with him there and unable to, in the moment, shut her up. She was speaking, literally looking down on him. She was speaking from a position of power. And even he and all of his lieutenants seated around him could do nothing in the moment but sit and take it. She said, have compassion for the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shift in hospitals. It was fascinating to watch him and Vance and his family behind him react. And of course, the rage he must have felt was immeasurable. If the Nielsen ratings could go as high, he'd be a happy guy. And of course, as soon as he got out of the church, he began his disparagement of her. And then, of course, because she was still living in his head and the humiliation still in his head late this morning, he's out there putting up on Truth Social all kinds of crap about her. This so-called bishop, he calls her. And of course, his favorite word for women who dare to say something he doesn't approve of, nasty. And I got to tell you, in this day and age, when there are enough crazy people who have access to lethal weapons, and this woman in a front-facing public position, and with all of the publicity this will bring to her, she literally was putting her life on the line. And this is what courage in the face of the attempt to destroy democracy looks like. It's good when we start having corporeal manifestations of it, of faces, of incidents, of moments. It helps when we think, what would I do? To see it is doable. Incredible woman. Just incredible woman. And I hope her God that she prays to will keep her safe. Really. You know, in terms of keeping people safe and in terms of what we've been talking about today, do you know Trump? I mean, again, evidence of his the smallness of this man. the pettiness of this man, that one of the first things he did as president was pull the security away from someone who had served him in his first administration, a guy who I can't stomach and whose politics I can't stomach, John Bolton. But it turned out that even John Bolton was appalled by Donald Trump and was one of those people in that first administration that told him, you can't do that, that stood in his way, and then since has spoken out against him. The reason he has a security detail is because Iran has essentially put out a contract on him. There's already been one person arrested for attempting to hire a hitman to take Bolton out, and that is at the behest of the Iranian government. So he needs a security detail because someone's out there trying to kill him. And for Trump to pull it away, which, by the way, I think he did. And it was Biden who doesn't agree with John Bolton on much of anything as president who reinstituted Bolton's security detail, knowing he was under genuine threat. Our intelligence knows this. Targeted by the Iranians. And again, you see the pettiness. And so when Donald Trump hears people calling for the death of his own vice president, Mike Pence, he doesn't stop him. And he frankly doesn't give a damn whether Pence is hung that day. And he really doesn't give a damn if the Iranians take out John Bolton. He is as soulless and awful a human being, as empty a human being. If he hadn't risen to the position he was, I might even have empathy for him because he's obviously just this damaged child. His father is probably responsible from everything I've read. He is just a damaged child. And he's trying to be the man that his father wanted him to be, which is exactly who he is, ruthless. Ruthless. Okay, guys. There's this thing I've been wanting to get to since Monday, and I still haven't. I did Monday show, Tuesday show, Wednesday show, and I still haven't gotten to it. And damn it, tomorrow, I don't care what happens in the hours between now and then. Damn it, I'm bringing this subject up. And it does have to do with, this technology and the way it is remaking everything, everything. And when you look at who our oligarchy consists of, the guys on top of it are all guys in technology. That's where it is. just as in our last robber baron era, our last oligarchic, and it was nothing as bad as what we're heading into. You had industrialists were the oligarchs, but it's now the tech bros. And what a mucked up lot they are. Okay, stay warm. It's warming up. Tomorrow, a veritable heat wave, I believe. You start to see how it's all relative. And once you've dealt with true below zero and survived it, when it's 18 degrees, you don't go crazy. It feels slightly balmy, with the emphasis on slightly, I think.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.